I'm on a bankroll recovery mission. After playing in Ohio and Florida, so far so good. There's still a long way to go though and more poker to be played before I head home, so let's keep this momentum going as I hit the road and head to a very special place.
Welcome back to Montana.
I'm so happy to be back in Big Sky Country. You get to hike and then play poker and dive bars. What's not to love? Even better, when I buy in for $400, I get $15 in bonus chips on top of it. So before I get dealt a single card, I'm already ahead. Let's play. Here with jacks and a cutoff, it folds to me and I open the action to $12. Button calls and then the big blind 3 bets, raising the price of poker to $65. I'm obviously not going anywhere, and there is merit to making a light 4 bet here to make sure the button gets out of the way, but as played I call the 65 and button gets out of the way anyway. Heads up to a crazy flop of King 8-4, all diamonds. Thankfully I avoid having to do a diamond check because I've made sure to note the suits in my pocket pair, so I know I'm holding the jack of diamonds. The big blind makes a C bet of $65, and while it's a tricky spot already, I make the call now with plans to evaluate on later streets. The turn comes in offsuit 3, total brick given how things have played out so far, and then I feel a little better when my opponent starts off with a check on this card. With an underpair to the king and a 3-bet pot and the board being so dicey, I'm happy to keep the pot manageable, and I just check back. The turn comes another bad card, the queen of hearts, and things get worse when the big blind jams the remainder of his chips, which is $130. Really not a good spot, and the only thing I beat are bluffs. And here's where I want to touch real quick on the vlogger effect. There are some times where a player tries to make the video by making a crazy move on you if they know you're recording for YouTube. Is this one of those times? Could be, but look at the board and remember the action. He 3-bet pre-flop from the blinds, C-bet a king-high board, checked for pot control on the turn, and then bet big on the river on a queen after I checked back. Highly unlikely this is a bluff. So that being said, I make the fold, and then get shown 7-6 offsuit. Wow, nice bluff sir, and you made the vlog. Which leads me to another hand where I end up in a tricky spot and then honestly kind of butcher it. Forgive me GTO YouTube. Here I've got queen 6 of hearts in the cutoff. I make a loose call of a $10 open from an earlier position. Yeah, I know, I shouldn't be doing this. Bite me, alright? And then we go 4 ways to ace, ace, queen. It checks to me, and being last to act, I figure an ace probably would have bet unless they're trapping, so I make a small $15 feeler bet. It gets called by 2 other players, and we're still 3 ways to a turn, which peels off another queen. Alright. I do have a full house, but I gotta be cautious here. Checks to me again, and with all the checking going on, I bet $45. Of course, looking back, what am I looking to get value from here? King high? But hindsight is 20/20 and I get 1 caller. On a river of a completely irrelevant 3, my remaining opponent checks to me. Now here's where I make the biggest mistake of the hand. There's no value from worse to be made here. King high at this point is just going to auto fold, pocket kings is highly unlikely. The only action I'm going to get from betting is a raise from an ace. And sure enough, after I make a dumb bet of $110, my opponent snap jams in my face. I knew the second I put chips across the line on this river that this was a dumb play. I've now put $155 into the pot that I really shouldn't have. I can't see how my second full house is ever good in this spot, so I just make the fold. My opponent shows me a 3, but I'm not buying it. I'm 99% certain the other card was an ace and she's trying to buy future action from me. I own myself in this one, not happy at all with how I played it, but we live and we learn. Next hand. Now I've got that player's number and intend to get my chips back. Here with pocket 5s and +1, I open to $10. In GTO world, this is not an open from this position, but here in Missoula, it is. I get 3 callers and we go 4 ways to a good looking flop of Jack 6-5. I flopped a set, now it's time for revenge. It checks to me, I bet 20, which gets called from the target opponent. Turns another irrelevant 3. If somehow, some way she's holding 7-4 here, God bless her. Now I'm first to act and bet $30. Why so small? I'm only leaving myself with $128 left behind and I intend to put it into the pot on virtually any river. She calls again. River's an 8 and I stick to the plan. I make the 1 chip jam, she snap calls, and we get shown pocket 8s. I swear, I just Just no words here. It's not my night against this opponent. I'm done with her. Next. Alright, here's a weird and or funny hand I just have to share. Here with this combination of cards on the button, I'm first in and make it 10 bucks. The small blind flats, and we're heads up to Jack 6-5, 2 clubs. Looks eerily similar to the set over set hand. Anyway, small blind starts with a check. I play tricky this time and check. On a turn of the 7 of clubs, he then donks into me for $15. It's what I was going to bet anyway, and I'm not sure if this board makes sense to raise since I don't have the ace of clubs, so I call. River 5 of diamonds. He bets $25, and I just call since I don't have the ace of clubs and the board just paired, and we're off to a showdown where he shows the other 2 aces. Dude, just raise pre-flop. If we're not putting any money into the pot with pocket aces, what are we even doing here? I didn't feature any interesting winning hands, and that's because all the most interesting ones were ones where I lost. I didn't win tonight. In for $1,200, out for $826, for a loss of $374 over 6.5 hours. But Missoula may have become my favorite poker town after tonight. The people are amazing, I love the vibe, and it's a mountain town. The only shame is how little I make it up here. I love nothing more than to break down here for a few days, but sadly it's time to hit the road again. If I had to leave Missoula, this is a good place to end up. I've been wanting to come to Oklahoma too, so I must be manifesting all these layovers somehow. I head to River Spirit Casino and hop in a 1-3 round of each game, meaning whenever the dealer button gets back to seat 1, you switch between Hold'em and Omaha. I'm in for $500 to start. Let's go. It really pains me to once again feature this stupid, overrated excuse of a hand, but here we are. I open it to 20 from the low jack and the button calls. Heads up to Queen 9-6 Rainbow. I have top pair, but this hand sucks, so I'm not excited about it. I bet another $20 and get called again. Turns the 8 of clubs, making the board even more dynamic. With all the draws now available, I size up, betting $60. I get called again. River's just a terrible card. The 6 of clubs. Pairs the board, brings in the flush, blah blah blah. I'm probably beat now because King Queen offsuit is a joke, so I just check it over. The button now decides to bet $125. Yeah, figures. I just pretty much know I'm beat, whether it's a backdoor flush that got there, random straights like 10-7 or 7-5, or just ace-queen that decided to flat pre-flop. But then there's that pesky vlogger effect that I start thinking about again, and it's made more plausible given this guy recognized me when I sat down. Would he call me down with just backdoor clubs? Wouldn't he raise a straight on the turn? I guess ace-queen could play this way, but maybe, just maybe, he has some bluffs here. King-jack offsuit, stuff like that. I hum and haw, then like an idiot, make the call. He has king-jack of clubs. I hate you, king-queen offsuit. Seriously, even when you dominate a hand pre-flop, you lose. You just lose, 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 and lose again. If you're gonna be dealt to me, give me the decency of being suited, alright? Otherwise, just go away. At least in this one of my cards is an ace. I'm on the button with ace-jack off. Under the gun starts off by raising to $20, there's a call from the hijack, and since the first raise came from the player first to act, I just elect to call here. One thing I could improve on in my game is to 3-bet more in position to try to get the action heads up. Anyway, we go to a flop of Jack 9-4 with 2 hearts. I'll take top. Under the gun starts with a check, then hijack bets nearly full pot, $55. Obviously not going anywhere, I call. Turn brings the 4 of clubs. Bottom card pairs, and this time the hijack bets 75. Kinda smells like a worse jack. Should I raise here? Perhaps I should've. Actually, yeah, I should've. Really, the only credible hand I lose to would be pocket 9s, but there's only 3 combos of that left. He could have Jack 9 too, but I have removal to that. Maybe some random 4x hand? No, he wouldn't have bet full pot on the flop. I guess if he has the one combo of pocket 4s, bless him. In all reality, he's got a worse jack than I do and may have gotten sticky if I had raised. I'll never know though, and I just call. River peels off the 7 of diamonds. Brings in the 10-8, which was open-ended this whole time, but my opponent checks. If he had that hand, I'm sure he'd bet. As played, it feels like a worse jack that is happy to go to showdown. So all that being said, I make a big sizing mistake here and only bet $85. He makes the quick call, and we're good against King Jack. Exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, I know, I left a lot of value on the table. Kinda pains me to feature a hand where I make mistakes like this, but in the interest of transparency, here you go. At least this one gets pushed my way. How about a PLO hand? Here, I peel my cards and... wow, look at that. I don't play much PLO, but that may just be the most beautiful combination of hole cards my eyes have ever had the privilege of gazing upon. 4 Broadway cards, double suited? That's incredible. When it gets to me on the button, I just know I have no choice but to say the most famous word in the game of Omaha. Pot. I raise this bad boy as much as I possibly can. In this case, it's $60. It gets called by 3 other players, which doesn't surprise me, but it's okay. I'm in position with a hand that has so much potential to turn into something beautiful. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what kind of made hand or monster draw the flop provides me with, and I plan on winning a huge pot here. What in the absolute abomination of a flop is that? I get dealt these hole cards and that's what I get rewarded with? The flop checks around, the turn's another crappy card that connects with me in 0 ways, someone says pot, and I fold. I swear. Capping off my time at River Spirit with Ace King from the cutoff. There's an open to 12 and I make the 3-bet to $40. The button cold calls, which we all know I love, and this invites the original opener in too. 3 ways to King 9-6 Rainbow. I accept that. First checks, I bet half pot, $60, and get a call from the button again. First tag senses this pot isn't his and gets out of the way. Turns a jack. Brings in Queen 10, sure, but I can't play passive here. I assemble some green chips together, cap them off with a couple of reds, and put $135 into this pot. Button makes the call again. The river brings the ace of hearts, giving me a very pretty top 2 pair. Queen 10 was already a straight on the turn, so this doesn't change that. I should be good here the vast majority of the time. I've only got 219 left, so of course it's all going into the middle. The button, sadly, snap folds, proclaiming that he can't beat anything. Oh well, got 2 streets of value, I'll take it. Another less than ideal result, but it could have been worse. In for 900, out for 773 for a loss of 127 over 4.5 hours of play. Seems my momentum is fizzling and it's nearly go home day. So hopefully at my next spot, I can book some kind of win, even if it's small, for a boost in confidence. Let's go flying. Go home day, and luckily between work and my airline out, I have a few hours to kill. So of course, I head to none other than Capital Casino located in the heart of Sacramento. I buy in for $500 at their 1-3 game and look around for the local legends, Doug McCusker and NorCal Poker. Doug actually ends up sitting to my direct left, but doesn't look like NorCal is in today. Maybe next time. Anyway, to the action. Starting my few hours of time in Sacramento with Ace Jack of Hearts in the small blind. There's a couple of limps, and when it gets to me, I make the mandatory squeeze play and raise to $20. Of course, this deters no one, and we go 4 ways to a flop of Jack 5 Deuce. I bet 45 for value, which gets called by one opponent. Turns a 10, I continue barreling for 120 this time, but get the snap fold. Still over $100 in profit coming my direction. I want to get involved in pots with other YouTube personalities. Here's my first opportunity. Doug is under the gun and opens the action up to $20. It folds to me on the big blind, and while I'd usually just fold King Jack offsuit, here I want to give this local legend some action, so I make the call.
Round 1, fight!
Flop comes Ace Queen 5 Rainbow, which does give me a gut shot, but heavily favors his range as the under the gun opener. I check it over to him, and he bids $25. Again, usually a fold, but this is YouTuber against YouTuber. If a 10 comes, it'll be a good story. I call. Turn comes an 8. Doesn't help me at all. I check again. Doug bets 70 this time, and now it's just time to give up. I give this pot to the local legend. Good hand, Doug. Let's do it again sometime. Okay, let's play a real hand. Here with pocket 10s on the hijack, I see an open of 15 and a call from earlier players. I raise the price of the game to $60, which gets one caller. In position to King Queen 3 with 2 hearts. Really dicey flop. When it gets checked to me, I figure I don't have to c-bet 100% of the time, and I'm trying to reduce my airball bluffing frequency, so I left on the lower variance route this time and check back. If my 10s were red, it could be a different story. The turn comes the ace of clubs. Very interesting card, and now the board makes a lot of sense to be favorable to me as the pre-flop 3-better. My opponent checks, and since he's just been checking down, I change my plans and figure I can start to turn my 10s into a bluff. I bet $100. Worst case, if he calls, I can still hit a jack or either of the 2 remaining 10s. He takes a few seconds to think, then tosses his hand into the muck. Got the result I wanted with that bet, and we take this one down. So on that note, here I've got pocket 9s on the button. There's an open to 20 and a call from earlier, and I figure here I've got a squeeze opportunity. I bump up the action, making it 80 to go. The original raiser is in, and the other caller is out. Heads up to ace jack 6, 2 diamonds. Again, a very dynamic board which doesn't hit my actual hand, but makes a lot of sense given my pre-flop raise. My opponent checks, and this time instead of the low variance route, I take the high variance route. I immediately turn my pocket 9s into a bluff, bet $100. I again get the hum and haw routine and make my opponent fold. Phew, a couple of decent bluffs getting through here. Always nice when your opponents are capable of folding their hands. I'll take it. In for 500, out for 732 for a small win of 232 to cap my trip off. I bid Doug and the other Sacramento locals adieu, head to the airport, and catch my flight home. My momentum may have fizzled a bit, but this trip was a win. Casinos played 7. Hours 27 and a half. Total result? A win of $975. Still a lot of work to do, but this was a good step in the right direction. If you missed the first half of this trip, you can watch that right here. I'll see you again when I'm on the road.